Yo, what is good, YouTube? Krishan checking back in with another video. Let's start this video off with some very exciting updates of Derek Lunsford. Now, we covered the crucifix pose that he posted the other day, but Derek was kind enough to post up the full video. And take a look at the quads of this guy. It looks like Derek has already had a full offseason on these legs. He's looking scary good at the end of February. Imagine how this guy's gonna look later in the season or on that Mr. Olympia stage. And Derek said he was going to take a health phase, but I'm not sure if he took that because Derek looks full blown here. And if Derek is in a health phase and looking this good, he may have some of the best genetics in the sport of bodybuilding. But take a look at this back double bicep. Even in the offseason, Derek Lunsford has striated glutes, which is insane. But I do believe we are looking at a future Mr. Olympia in Derek Lunsford. I believe we're looking at a guy that can win multiple Mr. Olympia titles. Derek has some of the best shape in bodybuilding, if not the best. Crazy conditioning, probably has the best back in the sport, and he is working with one of the greatest coaches of all time in Honey Rambod. I think Derek will have that title one day. Now, switching over to Big Ramy, this is an image that's been circulating for the past couple of days. Is it recent or not? And courtesy of Chad Nichols, this is not a recent update of Big Ramy. And Nick Strength and Power pointed out, in this update, it looks like Ramy is at Dennis James' house, and Ramy isn't reported to be in the United States yet. But my predictions have went out. I have Big Ramy in second place at the Arnold Classic. I'm looking around, and a lot of people are counting out Big Ramy, and I think a lot of people will be surprised in 1 week, or I'll be eating my words either way. And let's switch over to William Bonac, who is also prepping for the Arnold Classic and being coached by Chad Nichols. Now, taking a look at this ab and thigh shot, just looking at it for what it isn't the most impressive ab shot, but for Bonac, this is one of his best. He usually never hits an overhead ab shot because he doesn't have the best abs. But over the past year working with Chad Nichols, he's been slowly working on that. And I'm glad to see him hitting this more often. And let's take a look at the quads. Very, very impressive. I think William has better quads than Nick Walker and Shaun Clarida. But it isn't a leg competition. But there is an area I think he could expose them in as long as William peaks properly. Now, speaking of Shaun Clarida, he posted up an update recently. 1 week out from the Olympia at 184. 1 week out from the Arnold Classic at 192. And is it just me, or does Shaun's back look better at 1 week out from the Olympia? And I'm not saying that Shaun got worse. I honestly think these pictures aren't sized correctly. If you look very closely, Shaun's head looks to be a little bit bigger at 1 week out from the Olympia. But either way, I have Shaun Clarida placing 6th in this lineup, and I do believe he can very well place higher, but he's giving up so much size to these guys. Now, switching over to Justin Rodriguez. Justin has been looking pretty good these last couple of weeks going into this Arnold Classic. Once again, he announced this Arnold will be his last show of the year. He will be shutting it down. And I did not put Justin in my top 6, but I believe he will place around 7th at the Arnold Classic. I believe he can hold off Akeem Williams, Patrick Moore, Kamal Elgarni. Just take a look at this back. But switching over to Regan Grimes, who recently posted up some updates, Regan is looking pretty good here. And once again, he said a few weeks ago he should be competing in the Yamamoto Cup. And if I'm not mistaken, that show will be in June or July. But whenever Regan does hop on stage, we're probably all looking to see significant improvements because he hasn't competed in over a year. We have Michael Krizo on the scene now, Andrew Jack, we have Derek Lunsford. We even have a guy like Patrick Johnson, who was 13th at the Mr. Olympia, which is higher than Regan has placed. I think Regan really has something to prove this year. Now, switching over to Tonio Burton, he will be competing in the Cali Pro. And if I'm not mistaken, this is also about a summertime show, maybe in August. Antonio is a guy I'm watching very closely. In 2021, I believe it was his pro debut. He actually won the Indy Pro. Later that year, he moved up to the Open and placed 4th at the Legion Sports Fest. And in 2022, he won the Legion in the Open division. So just in 1 year, this guy went from winning 2 12 shows to winning Open shows. Usually guys take a couple of years to develop into good open class bodybuilders. I mean, unless you're Derek Lunsford, Heidi Chupin, or William Bonac. But you guys get what I'm saying. Tonio has been improving very fast, and I would keep an eye on this guy. And in the next update of the day, we have some recent updates from Martin Fitzwater, who was 2nd to Andrew Jack at last year's Texas Pro. These updates are courtesy of Bodybuilders Without Borders on Instagram. And I would assume that Martin is either in a health phase or just coming out of a health phase because he looks a little bit smaller than what I'm used to seeing. And Martin is another guy that I will be watching very closely over this year. In my personal opinion, he already has one of the top 5 backs in bodybuilding, probably has top 5 hamstrings too. This guy is very impressive from behind, more so just needs muscle maturity. Now, switching over to Classic Physique, we have a recent update from Urs Kalecinski. This update is courtesy of Old School Maramba News on Instagram, mostly a Brazilian page, but they're pretty good with the updates. Now, taking a look at these updates of Urs Kalecinski, more or less what I'm used to seeing from Urs. I don't think he has really improved much, but from the Mr. Olympia to the Arnold Classic, there was only about 9 or 10 weeks, so you can't really expect guys to put on size. They can only really come in more conditioned, maybe come in a little bit more full on show day. Now let's wrap up this video here with the archive of the day. A very easy one, but I had to share it with you guys. This was posted up by Who is the Best Bodybuilder on Instagram, and wow. And I think this is a great example of what people mean when they say sometimes pictures don't do these athletes justice. I've seen Flex Wheeler a million times, one of the most genetically gifted bodybuilders of all time. But when I seen this guy hit this front double bicep and this front lat spread, just, oh my God. This front lat spread, perfection, looks absolutely unbeatable. But as always, I hope you guys did indeed enjoy this video. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And for some reason, if you haven't seen my Arnold Classic predictions, I'll link them somewhere up here on the screen. Be sure to click on those. I'm Krishan from Go Fitness, and that's it. I'm out.